Okay, so some things that you're going to need for measurement, okay? You need a protractor, and at least for one experiment anyway, maybe more than that. A protractor and a ruler, like a ruler, like about a foot long, and uh, and then some way to measure larger distances other than a ruler. A tape measure might do it, okay? A tape measure will be fine, or a yardstick or a meter stick. Like this one has centimeters on one side and inches on the other. So either a meter stick or a tape measure would be fine. You could use either one. Okay. So some different ways you need to measure things. Okay, now going back to talking about wood and lumber, one other thing you'll need is a piece of wood, like, let me get in like this. You're going to see kind of off in the back, if that looks like a little seesaw, okay, that's what we'll be doing for the torques and center of gravity experiment. You'll need a piece of wood that can go on an edge like that and can put weights on it and balance it, kind of like a seesaw. But the one you'll have for your ramp will really be too big. It won't work so well for this. So you need a smaller piece of wood. Well, when I say smaller, I mean thinner and narrower. Get another look at that. Okay, like this one is about a 1/4 inch thick, and it's pretty thin. It's only about a 1/4 inch thick, and I think it's 1.5 inches wide. So something flat that you can sit things on like that. Okay, so something like that would be good. 3 feet long would be a good length. So I'll have information about that in the email. All right. So you'll need another piece of wood like that, a small piece. A meter stick actually might work, okay, or a yardstick. That might do the job of the seesaw, okay. Some sticks you get are kind of flimsy and they kind of bend, so if you got a nice rigid one, that would probably work. But you might have to get an extra piece of wood, all right. Now we're going to be sending you some things in the mail. One of the things we'll send you will be a caliper, and that's this guy here. Now this is a nice metal one. The one we're going to send you will be a plastic one, which is, it won't be the greatest quality, but it'll be all right for what we're doing. So we'll send you a plastic version of that. If you have a caliper at home, then you're already good. So, but anyway, you're going to need one. We will send you one, all right, but just to show you what one looks like. And we'll also send you a few nuts, okay? And I don't mean nuts to eat. I mean nuts like go on boats, okay, like that, okay. We'll send you a few, but when you're in Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever you go for some of these things, you might want to grab a handful of them or a package of them. They're not very expensive. So you need several of those. We use them as weights for things like balancing on that stick. So several nuts, a good many of those, like a handful of those, and maybe a few washers. They would be good for fine adjustments. Okay, so a bunch of nuts, like a handful of nuts, a few washers. Okay, and let's see, what else should we talk about? Some ordinary things like paper clips. Some big ones would be good. You'll need some of those. Binder clips, a couple of those could be handy. Graph paper, you're going to need some of that, okay. It doesn't necessarily have to be as fine a grid as this one happens to be, but some kind of rectangular square grid for graph paper, buy some, or you might be able to find some on the internet and print it off. You only need a few sheets of it. So you're going to need a couple of containers, just ordinary like food containers. You need like a small one and a big one where the small one can fit inside the larger one. Okay, you need at least 2 containers like that. Okay, so we're going to be filling the small one up with water in one of the experiments, and then putting something in it and letting the water overflow into the larger one. Okay, so you need a big one and a little one, about similar size to what you're seeing there. And I can tell you more about that in email. Let's see. Okay, and then thermometer. Okay, we're going to do one experiment that requires a thermometer. So you can get one that looks like this. Okay. Or you can get one that looks like this, okay? one of these metal ones with a pointy probe on it, okay, and a little dial. So either of those would work, but you need to pay attention to the scale of it. You need one that will measure from about 0 to 100 Celsius, okay? So these little ones, I found this in a Myers supermarket, and it works fine. But not just anyone that looks like that is the right scale. So make sure it reads from 0 Celsius to 100 Celsius. It might not necessarily do that. Be sure and get one that does, if that's what you do. If you want to order one on Amazon or somewhere, you know, that's up to you. But you might be able to find one just in a grocery store or someplace like that. Let's see. And then, okay. So I think that's about it. So like I say, this is just kind of going over it so you can see some things, but be more detailed information in the email. Alrighty.